Thanks for staying with us on the Sports Show. Of course, the SANFL Grand Final was on the weekend, boys, and it was an absolute belter, nail-biter, down to the last kick of Matty Panos.
Haven't we had some crackers, Phil? Haven't we had some cracker finals,
There
both
has been some
AFL and
rippers.
SNFL?
Yep, absolutely.
It's been unbelievable.
It's been an amazing year for footy, no doubt. So we thought we'd better get to the expert, of course. Luke Marchioro joins us. Luke, how are you?
Good, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, last kick of the game, mate. Didn't look like that halfway through the last quarter. Looked like North were about to open it up, and Norwood, as they've done most of the last half of the season, been able to egg their way back in.
Just found a way to win Norwood in the end. North probably missed a few shots at goal. A couple of occasions in the game to really assert the authority and extend that margin too far. Norwood's ability, just to keep fighting. We've spoken a lot about that game against the Crows on a Friday night at the parade where they sort of saved their season. It was very similar to that on Sunday afternoon and won a flag. And yeah, Matty Panos, the hero after such a long layoff, was a great story. We
talked about him, didn't we, Matty Panos? He missed that first final. Norwood got flogged.
He did. They played that game off a long break, so a little bit underdone.
He played it up a very long break. Now he had a smell, and a couple of others who came did a similar thing. But in the finals after that, he's an important player, isn't he, Panos? He's such an important player.
He's proved it all year. I think, that they lost 2 games on the way home. They lost to Westies and they lost to North, and they were both games that he didn't play in as well. So he's such a pivotal player for them and how they go about it. And, he had such a traumatic history with that knee injury. A lot of people didn't think he'd get back. And for him to come back and play at the level that he did this year and sort of lead Norwood to a premiership, so impressive.
Look, what about the standard of the game was just outstanding. I had a couple of friends who watched it in Melbourne. You look at the SANFL, saying it's the second best competition in the land. No question. I mean, that grand final, great support, and just the standard and the toughness of that game was outstanding. I know the result was close, but take that away for in the point of view of watching a fantastic game of footy. SANFL, just take my hat off to them.
I think the whole final series was like that. I think you could take a lot of those games. I think the North Adelaide game was just about the best game of the year at any level I've seen this year. Really high quality games of footy, and just the pressure. And you noticed that a lot around on Sunday was the tackle pressure and the pressure around the ball. And guys, you saw those guys like Campbell Coombe really come to the fore in that context, and that was a really high quality game of football, high pressure and really high skill as well, given the conditions too.
Yeah, I thought Norwood. When I woke up in the morning of that game, I thought conditions
suit them.
Norwood. This is Norwood's day. I really did, because North Adelaide are such a slick side. They move the ball really quickly. They've got highly skilled players. Norwood have as well, but I think Norwood with that side that are around the ball or in close are a bit better.
But 10 minutes to go in that game. That's not the right call.
No,
that's the incredible thing. They're 17 points up with 10 minutes to go.
And I think
and missed a couple.
And missed one out in the full.
Nigel Lockyer missed that shot at goal, but they were on top early. It was 4-1 early, late in that first quarter, and the rain started coming in. Norwood pinched that goal just before quarter time to cut the margin back to 10 points, which sort of flipped the momentum a little bit. North were really good early. The ankle injury to Harry Elbro didn't help. He missed a lot of footy in that game, and he's been really important for them this year as well. So they were sort of one short on the bench for most of the day. I know he did come back on, but for him to come back in and, they sort of ran out of a little bit of legs, North Adelaide as well, but they sort of went into their shells a bit too. They tried to save the game instead of win it too.
Yeah, I know Minna's got injured early for them too, so they were down 2 for a large portion of the game, but take nothing away from Norwood. Jade Rawlings has brought a toughness to Norwood that we haven't seen for a couple of years though, which was, again, suited the conditions, the style of the game, that never give up, the will to force yourself to a win. He's done a ripping job.
He was pretty polarising last year. There was a lot of Norwood people that probably weren't happy with the way he went about it. They were a very defensive first team last year. This year they've added some scoring potential into that side as well. Obviously with Panos back, but they pinched Connor McLean from Central District. They got Bain and Leao over as well. He kicked 4 goals in the prelim final.
Yeah.
They added some firepower into that forward line and kicked a lot of goals, and they found different ways to win. They could win kicking 100, 115 points, or they could win a game like on the weekend kicking 8 or 9 goals. And they were able to really adapt to whatever team they played and play different game styles for that. And it's a credit to Jade Rawlings and the team that he's developed with there.
And Boyd Harvey, what a contest that was. Big units. I know Boyd's end up with the best on ground, but it was still a super contest from 2 big men.
Yeah, I thought Boyd was fantastic. I thought Harvey was great too.
Yeah.
I really thought that medal probably could have gone 1 or 3 or 4 different ways given how close the game was. To be honest, Boyd probably had a little bit better than Harvey around the ground, but North dominated clearances for most of that game. They really got on top for long periods in there. And even the centre clearance late towards the end, Harvey patted that down perfectly. They nearly pinched it again. So.
He also took a couple of very telling marks in that last quarter, Harvey.
He did.
Going back to centre half, and he clunked a couple. It's always been a good, strong mark, but He nearly won the game for North Adelaide just by those acts alone.
Yeah, and we've seen the value of really good ruckmen in the competition this year. Boyd and Harvey and Strawn for Adelaide, they were probably the 3 best rucks of the year, and their teams made the finals. So those 2 guys are, the other thing as well being good footballers, they're really smart footballers. They've got high IQ.
Yeah.
Mitch Harvey has, he's probably not a natural ruckman, but his footy smarts are so strong that he could be really dangerous. And Boyd was so good around the ground. He got his pants pulled down by Strawn in that first final, and after that he was probably Norwood's best player over the last 3 weeks.
That's an interesting call there, because he did. I don't think I've seen a ruckman get a bigger hiding than he got in that game against Adelaide. But the way he came back, you wouldn't have thought, put it another way, that fella would win the medal for the best player in the grand final after that performance in one of the finals.
And you probably wouldn't have thought Norwood were in the grand final after that performance either. Yeah. So it's a credit to them and their group, their resilience and their ability to bounce back, and what they did over those last 3 weeks. And they played some really good footy and timed their run beautifully at the back end of the year.
A couple of curly ones for you, mate, before we let you go. If it had gone the other way, if North had won, does Campbell Coon, is he the Jack Odie medalist? Because clearly in the first half, he looked like he was best on ground.
Oh, he was brilliant. He had a brilliant year again. He was probably the best player on the ground in the first half. And given North Adelaide's clearance dominance, he was probably central to that as well. His ability to go both ways, defensively and offensively, when he wins the ball is really rare trait for a midfielder, especially at that level as well. Sometimes you get guys that are happy to attack but won't defend. He does all the hard work. He's in the top 5 or 6 for tackles in the comp, and he's a really good defensive midfielder as well.
Is there a reason he's not in the AFL? I just can't find a reason that he doesn't get another crack at it.
It's one of these guys that he might get an opportunity. Like, he's not a particularly older guy, but now everyone thinks they're going to find the next Bontempelli and the next Cripps, the 190-centimetre midfielders, but they don't grow on trees. And these guys like Campbell Coombe at the next level are the guys coming through that could get an opportunity and really run with it at that level.
Hey, look, it's always great to catch up with you, mate. It was a ripping grand final. You think it comes down to a nail biter and the last kick's going to be as good as it gets. Well done to Norwood. They certainly deserved it. Always great to catch up with you, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Back in a moment with more.